Authur, and I'm the director of the Coffee County 912 project. I'd like to thank each of you for coming today, and I hope your experience is insightful and reflective of the countless sacrifices made on our behalf by the millions of men and women who have donned the uniforms of our country and defended our way of life. Would you please stand with me as Nick Mullins comes to sing the national anthem. That will be followed by Sam Miller, who will ring the bell in 4 sets of 5 in honor of our fallen victims.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light, we're so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Would you please welcome at this time the mayors of Manchester and Coffee County, Mayor Betty Superstein and Mayor David Pennington.
It is absolutely wonderful to stand up here and look at you all. I mean, I think this is the biggest crowd yet. Thank you so much for coming today.
You know, I'm going to give you the same little speech I gave you last year. Years ago, I was always too busy running my business to take time to come to this. But I told you last year and the year before last, I made you a promise. And, you know, I recognize, I go to the veterans buildings, and I see the veterans a lot more now than the mayor, and I recognize how hard they work. And because of them, we're able to sit here in a beautiful town like Manchester, or at your home. You know, we've got the fallen ones and we've got the ones that's here now that are still working. And thank God for the veterans.
Would you please help me welcome State Representative Jed Matheny.
Thank you, Francis, and thank you to our veterans. From one veteran to another, a double thank you. I could say a lot of things about freedom and honor and the things that you all know a lot about because you've earned and you deserve, so I'm not going to go there, but what I'm going to do is ask each and every one of you something for the next year, and that's to go out and teach somebody else that has not done more than their share for this country how to do it. Please teach them to do that. We have some rough times ahead, you know that. The people that have preserved our freedoms, we're going to be tested again. Each and every American has to put more into this country than they get out of it. So please, use what you know to teach somebody that is not doing that the proper way to do it. Thank you for what you've done.
Not only did they each spend time in the military in service to our nation, but they continue to serve their fellow soldiers in many, many ways. The first of these is the American Legion Senior Vice Commander, Mr. Howard Thompson.
It's a pleasure to be here, but I'm here because Mr. Eugene Warren cannot stand at this podium. I know he would like to be here. I'll do the best I can for you, Commander.
Thank you.
I may say some things that you won't like. If you're an American citizen, you have that privilege. An American veteran gave it to you. If you're not a citizen, I'm sorry, but this is our holiday. Down Main Street here, there used to be a drugstore. I believe it was D. Baker's. And upstairs there was a clinic. You had to walk up, there was no elevator, and that's where I was born. The doctor was Howard Farrell. Right down the street is the Vaughn House. I went there for a checkup, don't remember why, but there was a fish pond and a tree with magnificent caterpillars in it. My mom didn't watch me, and I filled both front pockets full of caterpillars. I don't know what kind of examination that I got. I don't remember, but I do remember my mom was not very happy about that. That doctor was named Irvin Vaughn, and that's who I'm named after. Howard Irvin Thompson. This is my hometown, and never in the wildest imagination did I ever dream that I would be standing here doing this today. I sold insurance with my dad until I was entered the first grade. I've been in every building on this square. I knew almost everybody. I look around today and I know almost no one. Manchester has changed a lot. Some of the changes are good, some of them are not. The clinic is gone, but we have a hospital. The bank that I used to visit is gone, but they've got a new building. Post office moved, Red's department store. Most of you remember a lot of these things. America's changing too. Depending on your viewpoints, some good and some bad. But I did not think I would ever live long enough that God, and to some degree patriotism, would be removed from our schools and colleges. I never dreamed that a president would be condemned for admitting that he asked God for guidance in leading our country. Communism and socialism was our enemy. And now we have a government with socialist tendencies. Before 9/11, our wars were fought with nations. We fought Great Britain for our independence. We fought Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan to preserve that freedom. But after 9/11, we are fighting no nation, but a religion. There are some that will deny that. They say it's extremist. But I know of no worldwide apology, no offer to rebuild New York or Washington, no offer to help the people involved, and no genuine effort to stop those extremists. Things have really changed. Today is Memorial Day, and I can't think of anything more important than to remember what this day is really about. We're gathered here to remember and to honor the most important men and the women in the history of the United States of America, our fallen warriors. None deserve greater honor, and no one should be held in higher esteem. You might think of someone like Medal of Honor recipients, but when they're interviewed, they say, "We're no hero." The ones that didn't come home, they're the heroes. We have many great and important leaders in industry and education and all the things that you can think of. But without the sacrifice of the American veteran, they would not even have the privilege to do that. General Patton compared war to all other forms of human endeavor pales to insignificance. We have a few Legion riders. I see one back there. And on some of their vests, they've got a patch that says, all gave some gave all. You cannot do more than that. There are many tangible things that we can do to honor these fallen warriors. First and foremost, we can take care of their families. The American Legion Scholarship Fund raises money so that a college education for these fallen warriors' families is a real possibility. We honor their living comrades, the wounded, the injured, the ill, members of our armed forces, with programs like Operation Comfort Warriors, Heroes to Hometowns, and the American Legion Service Officer who's present here today, his work. We can work to preserve the dignity and respect of our men and women in uniform. Most of us think that World War II, America reached its greatest. But most of us would agree with that. I believe we reached our lowest during the Vietnam era. We had Jane Fonda's inciting riots and leading protests. She even went to Hanoi. Was never charged with treason. I don't understand that. We had parades of people slithering down the streets of America, chanting, "Hell no, I won't go," and carrying signs that any government enemy of ours would be proud to have authored and constructed. And nobody stopped them. I was in a military history class, and the instructor posed the question, were these demonstrations justified? Were they misguided? Were they actually controlled by the enemy? Or just were they plain cowards? We batted that about for a while, and they asked him, what is the answer? He said, I don't know, but I know this. If our enemies could do it, that's exactly what they would do. That being the case, it really doesn't make any difference. During this time, you probably didn't see an American in uniform on the streets of Manchester, where I lived, and back then we didn't. Yet young men joined, and women. They answered the call of the draft. They fought, and they died. And they came home to a nation that did not appreciate nor respect them. We must purpose in our heart to never again let military personnel be treated in such a manner. On this Memorial Day, let us remember with deepest gratitude the extraordinary men and women who gave their lives to protect and preserve our country and our liberty. Let us live our lives so that we may do as they, and can say when we die, I stood for something. I am an American. May God bless them. May God bless their families. And may God bless you for coming here today. Thank you.
And now I'd like to ask Commander Lamar Wilkie of the Disabled American Veterans to come and speak.
Speaking Athene, distinguished guests, mayors, officials, fellow veterans, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to stand with you here today, among fellow Americans who share my respect for the men and women who offer themselves up in defense of this nation. Today, out of all days, I hope that the American people can put aside their own strife and take time to remember those who are too often out of sight, out of mind. Our brave military members who put service before self. Without question, the military harbors a unique breed of men and women whose devotion to a brother or sister in arms is unrivaled and unquestioned. It's because of brave, selfless acts that missions are accomplished, battles are won, and comrades' lives are spared. Many of the people who let Memorial Day pass by without a second thought may very well owe their existence to the courageous sacrifices of a sailor, soldier, airman, or Marine on some foreign soil in some bygone time. I'd like to share with you just a few accounts of such bravery and valor. During the Second World War, Lieutenant Jack Mathis, flying a bomb run over Vegesack, Germany, was struck by enemy anti-aircraft fire. His right arm was shattered above the elbow, and he received a large wound in his right side and abdomen. Knowing that mission success depended on him, Lieutenant Mathis, mortally wounded, dragged himself up to his sights and released his bombs on target before he died. Francis Hammond, a Navy corpsman attached to the 1st Marine Division during the Korean War, found his platoon outnumbered by the enemy and under a barrage of mortar and artillery fire. Despite his own critical wounds, he continued to administer aid to other wounded men for 4 hours. He directed the evacuation of casualties and remained in the area to assist medics of the relieving unit, ultimately being struck by a round of enemy mortar fire and falling fatally wounded. During the Vietnam War, Marine Private First Class Gary Martini, braving intense enemy fire, raced through an open field to drag a fallen comrade back to a friendly position. Noticing a second fallen Marine just 60 feet from the enemy position, Martini once again risked his life to bring the man back to safety. Upon reaching the Marine, Martini received a fatal wound, but continued to drag his comrade back to his platoon's position, directing his men to remain under cover. As he struggled to use his last bit of energy to pull the man to safety, Private First Class Martini fell, succumbing to his wounds. And Sergeant First Class Paul Smith, while under enemy fire in Iraq, organized the evacuation of 3 soldiers wounded in an attack on their vehicle. Sergeant Smith manned the machine gun mounted on that vehicle and engaged the enemy forces, allowing the safe withdrawal of the wounded soldiers. He was fatally wounded in the attack, but not before killing as many as 50 enemy fighters to save his injured comrades. I believe today is also a day we need to take special note of one man who may be in the fight for his life right now. Although days, weeks, months pass by without his name being spoken on the lips of the American people, he's nonetheless in my heart and my prayers at this moment. Right now, the Taliban are believed to be holding Bo Bergdahl, a 25-year-old Army sergeant from Haley, Idaho. He's the only known U.S. soldier being held by the insurgents at this time. He was captured on June 30th, 2009 in Afghanistan. Over the past nearly 3 years, we've seen video footage indicating, as we hope, that Sergeant Bergdahl is still alive, despite growing increasingly thin and showing signs of injury. It was reported in December that Sergeant Bergdahl had made a daring attempt to escape, but was recaptured. No further information has been released on his whereabouts, his captivity, or status. Imagine being held prisoner for years of your life, not knowing when or if you'll ever see your loved ones again. Imagine what it must feel like to face this kind of struggle alone, the fear and frustration you would feel with each passing day. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant Bergdahl needs your thoughts and your prayers on this Memorial Day and every day until he's returned to us. Americans, as we know, can be forgetful of the sacrifices made by military members, veterans, and their families. Beyond the many citations for valor are the untold, undocumented stories of men and women who live with the scars of war. Many American sons and daughters are returning to us with amputations, disfigurements, physical ailments due to environmental exposure, traumatic brain injury, and post-traumatic stress disorder. It's virtually impossible for these veterans and their families to forget the sacrifices they've made, so why should we allow our own memories to lapse? They did, after all, stand up in battle for every one of us here today. And for many, Memorial Day stirs nostalgic memories of the past and marks the beginning of a more leisurely, carefree summer. And as a deeply patriotic American, it warms my heart to see so many of you here today taking time out of your busy schedule to pay respect to those who have given their lives for this country. This is an uncertain world, and no matter how safe we may feel, our freedom is a highly valued and targeted commodity. Never forget Never let your children forget how fortunate we are to have a voluntary force of men and women willing to safeguard our freedom so that we can rest soundly at night. Your attendance here today is a testament to an American public grateful for the liberties and freedoms protected through the heroics like Jack Mathis, Francis Hammond, Gary Martini, Paul Smith, and Bo Bergdahl. May we, as their loyal countrymen and women, never abandon their memory or allow their sacrifices to slip from our national conscience. Thank you, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.
Today I stand before you on this proud day of remembrance and ask that you join me in celebrating the lives of those who made the ultimate sacrifice for the good of this great nation. I would also remind you that there has been no other nation on earth whose sacrifice has been greater than ours. Nowhere in history has there been a country before ours that has given so much to ensure freedom for others. Sacred and hallowed ground at Arlington and the cemeteries at places like Normandy, Pearl Harbor, and Manila are a testament to the price to achieve and maintain freedom around the globe. With this being the first Memorial Day since the end of the Iraq War, we are once again reminded of the full cost of war from beginning to end. The Iraq War lasted over 8 years, and in that time we lost nearly 4,500 of the finest men and women our nation has to offer, including our own DJ Shop. Suffering far more casualties than any other nation fighting alongside us. And the same grim facts also hold true when we speak of our efforts in Afghanistan. But the lives of our foreign warriors, fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, and comrades were not lives lost in vain, for each life lost has contributed to the evolution of America as we know it today, a free nation, a strong nation, and the greatest nation on earth. As we stand together today, and as we as a nation mourn the lives lost, we celebrate the lives lived and are forever grateful. Above all, in an attempt to pay back our debt to those we owe so much, as American citizens we also must not only remember the fallen, but it is our duty to teach our youth that nothing comes without a price, and that sacrifices are meaningless without remembrance. I ask that today you not accept feelings of grief or affliction without encompassing a feeling of honor, patriotism, and pride. It is said that where one story ends, another begins. Though their lives were cut short, our absent comrades have ensured that the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution is applied equally and holds true for everyone, some of whom may not have otherwise been entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The courage possessed by the men and women who we are honoring today is something that cannot be taught. Their willingness to put country first is what truly makes America the home of the brave. Our servicemen and women lead the life that they have grown accustomed to as civilians and willingly thrust themselves into unfamiliar and dangerous territories, determined to succeed in their endeavors. No matter how different these soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, and Coast Guardsmen are from one another, one thing remains the same. This is the land of freedom and of liberty. History and experience have provided the undisputable truth. It is the home of the brave. America will always be home, and a home worth dying for. As you go about your celebrations today with your family and friends, I ask that you also give thought to the families and friends who have lost their loved ones in the line of duty. We must encourage and be a part of the preservation of their spirit, dreams, and sacrifices. Though we cannot fully comprehend the great sorrow that these families and friends carry, we can and must carry the memory always. And to my fellow comrades, today as we stand united as a nation under Old Glory, the silent sentinel of freedom that you have defended, we will forever see the faces of our fallen comrades embedded in our symbol of red, white, and blue. We dedicate this day to them and vow to devote this day wholeheartedly to the preservation of their memory. God bless all our departed heroes, their families, and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams, for that lovely rendition of Taps. Before we conclude this ceremony, we would be remiss if we did not take just a moment to recognize the hard work and dedication of one Coffee County veteran who has done so much to bring this community together and to support the local veterans and heroes.
I will be presenting a key to the city to a certain gentleman. He has displayed consistent and tireless dedication in his flawless coordination and execution of Memorial Day and Veterans Day ceremonies for the past 15 years and Patriot Day ceremonies since they began, turning those days into special events and helping to educate the public to the sacrifices and needs of our community veterans and first responders. He was asked to do this by no one, but rather saw a lack of awareness of what these special days truly mean, and took it upon himself to create ceremonies that have become the main event of the days, and in doing so have elevated those days into special times of community appreciation for everything our veterans and first responders have done and continue to do. These hallmark events have brought together our entire community, successfully rallying the public to our veterans and first responders. His unwavering dedication over the years reflect great credit upon himself and are in the highest keeping of the definition of community service. The city of Manchester, Tennessee, in recognition of 15 years of faithful service to veterans and the community, takes great pleasure in presenting the key to the city to Mr. Jimmy Taylor.
Thank you. Commander Thomas, I too have deep roots in this community. I can remember coming across over here at the First National Bank with my dad to witness his eggs. Sit out here with the old guys under the trees, whittle, take the whittlings back home to put under the chickens. But this means everything. And on behalf of all the veterans who have fallen today that gave us this opportunity, I accept this for all of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. For one, I could not have pulled this event off without his help. Jimmy Taylor was so helpful to me as I was trying to plan this and pull this together. He walked me through every step. I also could not have done this without the help of Commander Lamar Wilkie from the Disabled American Vets. He was just wonderful and took me through every step. It was great. I also had the assistance, as you can tell, of numerous local businesses, municipal agencies, and community organizations. The 912 Project was just fantastic. They have really contributed to make this a very special observance. And they will be recognized this week in the local newspapers and thank you cards. They've just been a great help to me. This concludes the Memorial Day ceremony. I hope to see you again. Our next event will be here for Patriot Day on September 11th. We'll honor our first responders in the community. God bless each of you. God bless America. Thank you.